this at this point is because honestly, our side of the political aisle loves to provide cover for it, and I find it gross, and I'm done doing it. I'm done trying to be understanding toward that perspective. I'm not understanding anymore. It is destroying communities. It is mostly victimizing majority Black and brown communities. Stores are shutting down, people are losing their jobs, and then you have these wannabe revolutionaries streaming day in and day out, providing cover for this garbage. I'm not into it. It's stupid, and I'm glad she got arrested. Great.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that right there was Ana Kasparian, and she is fed up over something. I wonder what that something is. Oh, yeah, that's right. She is upset because you guys remember that Instagram influencer, very, very small following, page kind of blew up a little bit after the whole looting in Philadelphia like a week and a half ago. Do you guys remember that? Well, I understand that somebody may not answer that in the comment section. I understand these are not live streams. I'm asking the question because I'm pretty sure most of you guys remember what happened in Philadelphia roughly a week and a half ago. The Apple store that got robbed, the liquor store that got robbed, the Popeye's chicken that got robbed. Of course, this was all a result of a bunch of looters going in and stealing everything, smash and grab operation, that type of thing there. And of course, you had this girl named Meatball. That's what she's called on Instagram, and she was streaming it. Now, before we remind you of what happened, I want you to know right now, this particular person, Meatball, she has been back on Instagram. She's been released from jail. She's set to get charged with a lot of things. Of course, stealing is one of those things. I'm not going to be the technical term here, causing a disturbance, looting, inciting a riot, all kinds of stuff like that. And of course, her attorney right now is playing the race card on everybody, basically saying that this is all racist, the fact that you're charging my client with a bunch of crimes that, quite frankly, she committed, and that's not right because all of you are actually racist. Apparently, race now has a hand in everything nowadays. I mean, the other day I released a video about a lady who was calling Walmart racist because she decided to try to, let's just say she decided to rob the place. She got caught shoplifting. She was already in the wrong already because she was using one of those electric cart buggies. And of course, she didn't need to use it because the people who need to use those buggies are people who, quite frankly, have a hard time walking. Of course, if you saw that video, then you would know that this particular lady, this particular individual, would actually get out of the little cart and actually begin to take off running. She didn't get very far. She weighed like 300 pounds. The cop eventually got to her, but obviously the lady was not crippled. Still waiting for Ana Kasparian to do a piece on that there. But then again, I'm not an avid TYT viewer, but I do watch them from time to time when they, let's just say when they say some extremely crazy stuff. I'll do the replay, go and actually look at the video, see Jink's reaction, see his facial expressions. Of course, you guys are seeing this one here now. I happen to catch him in a very, very perfect moment. It's actually a very, very good photo there of him, of course, squinting or whatever he likes to do with his facial expression. You know, Jink is actually a very funny guy when he begins to melt down. Of course, the vast majority of the things he melts down over are complete total BS, and the people lie all the time at that network. But then again, though, here we are. Ana Kasparian, of course, I've done a few videos on her in the past, showing you that she's made a bit of a turn, at least when it comes to the topic of crime, especially when it comes to anything race-related and pulling the race card. But let's go back in time. Let's actually look at exactly what happened. Roughly 40 seconds. Just watch this right here, and we'll get back to the video, and we'll talk more about this because, obviously, Ana has had it.
Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat! Yes! Everybody must eat! Free iPhones! Free iPhones! Free iPhones! Look, security running! Oh, what's up?
Before we go any further, I need you to know that you're going to see that little bit one more time because obviously TYT, Ana Kasparian, chose to give some commentary on it. And we're going to be responding to this commentary like I oftentimes like to do, like to point out exactly where it is that these people are wrong, or I like to actually add to and kind of sound off on things. It's kind of the thing that I do. Of course, starting next year, we'll start doing essays and stories and things like that, things that quite frankly shaped our society, and videos like this right here will be fewer and far between because reactions, of course, they occur when obviously somebody needs to be called out. Seeing how it is, I normally call a lot of things out all the time. I need to kind of focus my content. But the thing is this right here. This type of situation is the the type of situation that makes me wonder exactly what's going to happen in Philadelphia and the rest of these cities if these things continue to occur. However, it makes me also wonder what's going to happen when people continue to play the race card, because you see, after a while, things begin to get old, and it gets so old to the point that the people who encourage you to use a race card, the people who sounded the alarm or the fake alarm on everything is racist, the people who chose to get behind the rioters during the 2020 George Floyd riots, those people there are now starting to take a bit of a turn, or at least Ana Kasparian is in one regard, as you guys will see here. We'll be back on the other side. Let's go ahead and watch
social media influencer, who is not the person you see in the images next to me, named Deja Blackwell, also known as Meatball online, was arrested after live streaming a crowd of people looting stores in Philadelphia's city center last week. Now, her lawyer is accusing people who are criticizing her of being racist. So before we get to the lawyer's claims, let's get to what happened with the looting, how this woman was arrested and why she was arrested, and then you can judge for yourselves. Now, what happened? So groups of looters hit multiple locations in Philadelphia, including an Apple store, 18 state liquor stores, pharmacies, Lululemon, and more. Authorities ended up arresting 52 individuals, and they even recovered an illegal gun. 3 of those arrested happened to be teenagers. The looting took place over a span 8 hours. And while I mentioned city center, it started in city center and then expanded to other neighborhoods, including Northeast Philly and West Philly. Now, here's an example, just so you see with your own eyes what the scenes looked like as the looting took place.
Before we get to the rest of the commentary, I want to say this really quick. The looting, the rioting, it really started over a protest. Now, we're going to talk about that protest here soon, because apparently the protest was actually peaceful, and these people decided to go do everything they did after the protest. We'll talk more about that here in a second. But I want to take a second to talk about the actual crime, the, how do I say this, the regions where everything started, the regions where, of course, it eventually spread. And I want to say this right here. Sometimes police departments, especially very, very large police departments, and Philadelphia is, I want to say, the 5th largest city in the United States, or it's the 6th. It's one of those two. It's definitely in the top 6. You got New York City, you got LA, you got Chicago. They're the big 3. And then right behind that, you have Dallas, Houston, Philadelphia. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that even though these very, very large police departments, especially these ones where the police has been defunded, they can't patrol every single area of the city. I mean, even some small police departments, like, for example, the town that I was born and raised in, which, by the way, I will not give that information here because, quite frankly, I've not created Wikipedia yet, and I more than likely will not at some point in time. But don't worry, at some point in time, I may do a bit of a bio. I keep saying at some point in time. I also say actually a lot, too, trying to cut that. Here's the thing. Even in the town that I live at, or the town that I'm from, and this is also true about the town that I live in because it's a university town, you can't cover every single area at one time. So oftentimes when police departments are a little bit underfunded, they have to cut off a couple more areas, meaning they can't actually go there. These areas here were probably, they were probably underwatched, meaning that there probably weren't that many cops in these areas. And obviously some people chose to take advantage of this. They chose to go in and do basically a smash and grab operation, break into an iPhone store, steal just about everything inside the store. Of course, it's also kind of funny given the fact that the vast majority of these people probably don't even have phone bills, and some of these people probably have very delinquent ones. And then to go on top of the delinquent phone bills, it's not like anybody's going to cut those phones on for them, because they're going to find out right away that the iPhone is actually stolen. If you go to a Verizon, or if you go to a US Cellular or T-Mobile, they're probably going to find out about this, and they're probably going to say we can't activate it anyways, which kind of renders the point of stealing everything kind of moot. But then again, though, at the same time, though, we're talking about people who are not exactly rational, which is also very weird too, because if they had any actual rationality in their brains, or if they actually had sat down and thought about things, after a while, what eventually will happen is that if the crime continues to spread in certain areas, police presence will eventually go up in the good areas of town, because eventually the crime does in fact spread. And of course, this is after all the, let's just say all the brick and mortar stores, all the small businesses, even some of the big businesses go out of business, because the more and more you get robbed, the insurance actually goes up. I used to be a proponent of poverty driving crime, but that's not exactly the case. I believe that the crime does in fact drive the poverty. I've been somewhat red-pilled on that one. We'll probably do a video on that at a later date, probably in video essay format, explaining, giving a better overall explanation of what that is. But the fact of the matter is this here. after a while, more and more cops are going to be called, or the good cops are going to be called to the areas of town that are actually good, which makes you wonder what happens when all the small businesses leave. Will these people start getting into fist fights? Will then suddenly turn into riots? Will they eventually burn down their neighborhood? I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but back in 2020, during the George Floyd riots, they were burning down black-owned businesses. Yeah, they were burning down black-owned businesses. Let's watch a little bit more of this because this does, in fact.
And now Blackwell's lawyer is accusing those criticizing her of racism. Because had that person been white or Latino or Muslim, I mean, the commentary would be different, right? Except it wouldn't. I don't think it would be. The idea that she is now facing criticism and prosecution simply because she happens to be a black woman is ridiculous, and yet another example of providing cover for illegal behavior, bad behavior, by using and weaponizing race. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting when it happens, and I'm sick of it. So let me give you what her lawyer had to say. Her name's Jessica Mann, managing attorney at Shaka Johnson. It sickens me to witness the media's complicity in what can only be described as an all-out assault on black and brown people as their character and actions are mercilessly vilified. Can you guys cue up the video again, please? We're gonna watch it again. I'm gonna read that quote again, and then we're gonna go to the video again. Let's read the quote again. Jessica Mann is quoted as saying, "It sickens me to witness the media's complicity in what can only be described as an all-out assault on black and brown people as their character and actions are mercilessly vilified." Now let's take a look at the character and actions of Meatball. Now the woman you hear yelling free iPhones and kind of laughing off what's happening is Deja Blackwell. At one point, she's heard saying, "Tell the police they either lock me up tonight or it's going to get lit. It's going to be a movie." Well, Meatball, you said it. You got arrested. And now she and her lawyer are crying about it. She could also be seen walking with the crowd as they moved from one store to another. So Deja Blackwell has been charged. She was arrested, as I mentioned. What are the charges? Burglary, conspiracy, criminal trespass, riot, criminal mischief, criminal use of communication facility, receipt of stolen property, and disorderly conduct. The 21-year-old was later bailed out by her mother. That happened early Thursday morning. Unsurprisingly, the influencer with close to 650,000 followers across Instagram and TikTok got some blowback. Luckily, her followers were really not appreciative of her involvement in this. And now Blackwell's lawyer is accusing those criticizing her of racism. Mind you, the media didn't post that video all over the internet. Meatball posted that video all over the internet. So was Meatball vilifying herself? I would say so. By the way, the lawyer Mann also argued that the media should have focused on how Blackwell was doing nothing more than capturing the raw reality of public outrage when she streamed the events on September 26th. Now, what she's referring to is the context is a case involving a police shooting. The police officer killed a 27-year-old man by the name of Eddie Irizar.
Anna's correct. The media did not put this video out, not right away. She put this video out, meaning that right there being Deja Blackwell, Meatball, Turdball, wherever you might want to call her. She is the one who put this one out there. Now, somebody saying that they were capturing the raw emotion of the feelings of that day, I disagree with that 100%. If you pay very, very close attention, and of course you keep hearing everybody must eat, you see the joy in the girl's face. By the way, she's the one who posted it. Like I said before, the Instagram influencer is the one who posted it, live streamed everything. And of course, if you watch the whole video, which TYT did not include, because there's actually a lot more here you could actually look into, you would see that Miss Blackwell, her face, she's smiling, she's joyful, she's happy that this has happened. Free iPhones, and then they get the Popeyes chicken and they see that they're not gonna get any resistance in there. Everybody must get some chicken, this, that, and the other. Everybody must eat, by the way, was kind of the moniker of the night, not just at the iPhone store, but also at the Popeyes, also at the liquor store, all that crap there. This right here was not raw rage, this right here was opportunism is what the hell it was. we're going to take advantage of the situation. We're going to use the national media as a way to actually get away with this. The Philadelphia media, of course, they did report on this. There was also I want to say it was a shoe store that was robbed as well. Of course, no work boots were taken because these people don't have jobs, nor would these people go to work. But go back to what I said before, when the brick and mortar stores were all gone, what the hell eventually happened? Will you continue to do these types of things? Will you riot? Will you continue to loot? Will you then turn it to arson? Will you start burning things down? Because it looks to me like what you're doing is you're burning your own. Which, by the way, kind of feeds into the whole BRT narrative that I've been preaching for a very long time. It's not WRT. I'll leave the acronym in the description box for you guys, because if you actually say it here on YouTube, you will get one of those little notifications basically telling people that's a great big giant conspiracy theory, when in reality it's pretty obvious at this point in time that it's not. Back to Miss Blackwell. So this has all got to do with culture. It's all got to do with the fact that we have very, very weak police departments. It's the fact that we've got police departments that, quite frankly, are not allowed to patrol. By the way, when I say weak police departments, I don't mean that the officers are weak. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying weak police departments because they're obviously defunded. Go back to what I said earlier. They can't patrol everywhere in town, especially given the fact that their funds are being cut. And if I recall correctly, Ana Kasparian lives in a city where she actually found a way to get attacked by a homeless person while she was leaving her house. I just figured I would throw that out there, that Anna's little red pilling process, at least I would say her little red pilling process has actually been going on for a while. The Aristocratic Utensil did a video a while back on this where he actually said that she was not really and truly a leftist because what's going on. By the way, Sargon of Akkad, he was recently on the Rubin Report, and he actually had this right here to say.
Apparently, and I only know this from some of the videos that you've done, she's having some sort of wake up. She's waking up out of this leftism and this sort of mental prison that you're describing. You think you can get her over the edge?
I don't want to try because she's been very embedded, very publicly, in what I would call radical left-wing morality for a very long time. And Solzhenitsyn has this particular quote that probably everyone knows, where a lot of the time these people, even when reality is hitting them in the face with the consequence of their own ideology, they won't admit it. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, Anna is being hit in the face with the consequences of this morality, and is going, okay, I was wrong. Because I think she got assaulted by a homeless person outside of her house. I think that she's very aware that the trans lobby have got to the point where they're going to degrade her status as woman to merely birthing person or something like that. And I'm sure she pays way too much in taxes to Gavin Newsom, which I hear she's not a fan of his policies.
Right.
And so she's got to the point where now it's affecting her, and it's like, hang on a second. Actually, we need to arrest criminals. Actually, giving half my wages to the state is not moral. Isn't making the world a better place. Actually, a lot of the things the left are saying, such as there is no difference between men and women, these are not truths. Right, and you can't really build morality on untruths, actually. And so I think that she's come to the point where it's untenable for her. You know, I think that Cenk is still essentially wedded to the left and left-wing morality, and so I think he's afraid of looking the reflection in the mirror and saying, look, this is actually kind of hideous. It's kind of, maybe the sort of Dorian Gray painting might be a better thing, right? Going and looking at the painting and looking at the rot on the face of the painting and being like, oh my God, is that secretly me in my heart? You know, and so I'm actually tremendously sympathetic, right? And I realize that that's not probably what you would like to hear, because she was... Well,
she's been unbelievably nasty and dishonest to me, but I, in a weird way, I am, because I'm sympathetic to people that are waking up to the truth, and I would want someone to get to the end of the road, and, you know, we could still have some disagreements about this or that or the other thing, and I'm not expecting nor request an apology, but it would be nice to see someone that has some influence waking up to truth. Like, that's pretty good.
A part of me feels that she's kind of the victim of the ideology. And I'm not trying to say that she's got no agency or anything like that, but...
Well, she used to say, but way back when, that, you know, when she got there at the Young Turks, she knew nothing about politics.
I figure I would throw that out there because it's not a bad point. You see, Anna, by her own admission, said she knew nothing about politics. She knew nothing, really. She's basically been given talking points, or she's been given, let's just say that everything she's ever learned or known has been given her by Cenk Uygur, one of the dumbest of the dumb. I'll go ahead and say it out there, one of the worst actors out there on the platform. And by the way, he even had a bit of a common sense take, which I'm actually going to call out too, because obviously he's been preaching the exact opposite for so long. But the truth be told is this right here. Ana has been fed one line of crap her entire life, okay? She's from a suburban household, very, very well off. Probably didn't get much into politics. Of course, it's very, very weird. And you would think something was definitely up there because she is Armenian and Cenk is, of course, Turkish. And, of course, he denies the Armenian genocide ever even occurred, which that right there would be an automatic conflict for me if I was an Armenian. And if I was actually a Turk, I probably would not hire her for the most part because, not so much because I don't like somebody of a certain, that's not what I'm saying. It's because you probably might feel guilty about it. I might would even hesitate to do so. Yeah, I know it kind of sounds like maybe I'm being a little bit weak on this one right here, but still at the same time, it just seems a little bit weird, a little bit fishy. It's almost like, maybe we shouldn't maybe we shouldn't test it here. Yeah, maybe things could actually come up. Maybe some extremely bad disagreements could happen in the workplace, but still at the same time, Anna's entire red pilling process, and of course I showed you what you guys saw right here from Sargon very, very briefly, but it was the aristocratic utensil. He basically made the argument that because of this, she was not really and truly a leftist at heart. But I'm going to go ahead and let the rest of this play out because as you guys are already seeing, this whole notion of using the race card for trying to get me out of jail or get me out of trouble when it's pretty obvious that this person is actually the one who did wrong here. All the counts she's been charged with, all the counts that she is in fact guilty of via her own cell phone, via her own Instagram page, via her own live stream. I mean, it's amazing the times we're living in nowadays.
I also want to tell you, I don't care. Okay? You don't respond to injustice by looting 18 liquor stores and an Apple store. Okay? And by the way, there were peaceful protests in regard to that situation. And those peaceful protests were not in any way tied to the looters who decided to, exploit the situation in order to engage in the criminality that you just watched. And the reason why I'm so angry about this at this point is because honestly, our side of the political aisle loves to provide cover for it, and I find it gross, and I'm done doing it. I'm done trying to be understanding toward that perspective. I'm not understanding anymore. It is destroying communities. It is mostly victimizing majority Black and brown communities. Stores are shutting down, people are losing their jobs, and then you have these wannabe revolutionaries streaming day in and day out, providing cover for this garbage. I'm not into it. It's stupid, and I'm glad she got arrested. Great.
There it is. There it is. Our side has been providing cover for it. Our side's actually gone out of their way to help you guys out. Our side has gone out of our way to sympathize with you. Basically, that's really and truly what's happening here. Ana has completely lost it. She's lost her mind or she's lost her patience with people. To go back to what I said in the video, which, by the way, I'll also try to link in the description box about should we feel sorry for people over the policies that they vote for. Now, really quick. I can forgive a person for getting something wrong, coming over and trying to make amends and not doing that action or not voting for that policy again. I know that there are a lot of people out there who went from left to middle, from middle then to conservative, or middle to right. I know there's a lot of people out there. Typically, those who go from right to left, they typically tend to lose their brains. It's absolutely ridiculous. Arguments, they completely devolve it's almost like their IQ went from like 120 down to like 60. It's insanely ridiculous. It's almost like Ana Navarro when she brought the whole Roe v. Wade thing, and for whatever reason, she chose to use her mentally handicapped stepbrother as an example of somebody to abort. Yeah, I that really just never squared with me. It's almost like your IQ it's just cut in half. Sometimes even 2/3 to 80%. I just figured I'd go ahead and throw that out there. I think what's going on in the case of Ana is that Ana is starting to see that the way that they have been going, the way that they have been preaching is not exactly working. Don't worry, we'll get to Cenk here in a second, because in this case of a peaceful protest, these people actually had a right to peacefully protest because in this particular situation, the officer was in fact in the wrong and a lawsuit has been filed, and it's the case that they more than likely will win. The family will more than likely win. However, just because it was a peaceful protest earlier that day does not give you the right to go pillage and loot and burn. Now, of course, somebody's going to say, well, nobody was burning anything there. Okay, when we really and truly think about it, a lot of cash is being burnt here as far as a overall loss of revenue through what you could actually steal, because until they recover that, the insurance rates, of course, are eventually going to go up. So therefore, obviously, Apple's going to pay a lot more money. Popeyes is going to throw up a lot more cash, obviously, to get security. And also to go on top of that, of course, liquor stores are going to have to do this too. A lot of these places, by the way, are small businesses. They are family run a lot of times. And of course, some of these places are also black run, which means they have no respect even for their own race. They have no respect for those in their community that, quite frankly, are trying to. Anna is seeing that they're biting the hand that fed them. They're not just biting the hand that fed them. They're not only just destroying their own, but she's starting to see that these people are not reachable. By the way, these are also people at the exact same time who watched probably TYT and probably listened to Anna and Jink and Adirola and all the other buttes that work for that YouTube channel. They've probably been watching it for a very long time, and they've gotten more and more radicalized as a result of this. That right there is what the hell is going on in this case. That is actually what the hell is going on here. And the culture, of course, has devolved. It's gotten much, much worse. And we've had culture issues for a very long time, but it quite frankly has never been this bad. And I think that Anna is starting to see that the policies that she therefore helped preach are starting to backfire. You know, something that I wish I had said in the previous video about the whole should we feel sorry for people, I really wish I had kind of clamped down this a little bit more upon further review is this here. After a while, and I mean after a while of basically being weak on crime, people will then eventually begin to see you as weak. Now, let me explain what I mean. There was a video that I meant to put in the last video of a group of white suburban college students that were screaming BLM, Black Lives Matter, to a group of marchers who were going by. They were throwing crap at the windows. They were throwing crap, breaking the windows, of which the college students, the white liberal college students ran, which they probably ain't really white liberals, they're just people just egging on the riot. And they kept on screaming, we're on your side, what are you doing, what are you doing? That's because the people that you're protesting on behalf for, the people that you're trying to help, they view you as weak. So therefore, if they view you as weak, they will in fact stomp on you. They will in fact step on you. The guy who stabbed Ryan Carson the other day, you see him coming out crying. He's bawling his eyes out. They say he was a good kid, all that stuff there. Such a good kid, he wouldn't have stabbed Mr. Carson. I also pointed out that Mr. Carson himself was obviously not very bright because he carried his girlfriend to that area and walked through there. Meanwhile, the guy's got a knife. He's banging on things. He's stomping on things. Why are you actually carrying her through there? I mean, not exactly what we call a smart man, in my opinion. And even though I feel bad for his family or whatnot, you got to kind of say to yourself, he kind of did it to himself. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but I wouldn't just carry my girlfriend through that area. And by the way, his girlfriend would later on come out and say that he would not want the guy who stabbed him to get charged. Do you guys see the weakness here? I think that is what's going on. Is I think that Anna is beginning to see the actual weakness in the policies that people like her and Jink have been promoting for a very long time. But speaking of Jink.
And then they come and arrest you. I don't think you get to complain at that point. So you couldn't have been any clearer. Okay. I actually think that when they overuse racism like this, and they say someone who's on tape saying, everybody get free iPhones, everybody go in and break in, you're only targeting her because she's black and you're racist. Well, that's the boy who cried wolf, and it does great damage to the cause of actually fighting against racism. And it's in it itself is a little bit racist because oftentimes you'll hear people, and I get it, this is a defense attorney, he's trying to make a case for someone who's on tape and indefensible. But it's a cheap, terrible way to make that case because it hurts the rest of the black community and all people of color because they say, oh, you're prosecuting this criminal and that's because you hate black people. No, wait a minute. Black people have been targeted in this country by prosecution a lot of times when they did not deserve it. And we've covered those cases hundreds of times here, right? But when you just defend all criminals and say it's because they're black, you're almost saying that, oh, right, like that somehow black people do this, and hence, if you prosecute a criminal, you're prosecuting black people. No, you're not prosecuting all black people. You're prosecuting that black person.
Common sense take, guys. I'm a little bit confused. Did he script that? Did he script it? The reason why I'm asking the question is because Jink almost sounds like somebody who knows what really and truly happened in this case. That once again, Meatball did this to herself, and then obviously this defense attorney is reaching when it comes to the actual case, trying to paint a race narrative that, quite frankly, doesn't exist. Because he's running for president, I really and truly don't know. But where was this jink at? Where was this jink at on the left? You see, you got to understand something right quick. You do need a healthy right and a healthy left. The right is actually getting much, much bigger as far as moderates is concerned coming over. You need a healthy two sides. You need both sides to actually keep themselves in check. You obviously need that. However, when one side of the aisle becomes way too daggone, let's just say, radical, completely unreasonable, to the point to where they're doing child mutilation and crap like that, after a while, you need to just completely disengage from these people. Cenk Uygur helped to create that. Ana Kasparian helped to create that very, very crazy radical left. I've got several friends of mine that are Democrats. I got people who, quite frankly, don't agree with me on everything. I got people who try to disagree with me all the time. I got it, and at the end of the day, I'm still friends with them, still get along, still have conversations with one another. But it's because of the radicalism on the left that, quite frankly, some people just can't have conversations with one another anymore. They can't have an actual honest-to-God discussion because one side of the aisle has gone completely off the deep end. And I can already hear somebody say, well, what about the right under Trump? First of all, dude, Donald Trump was not that conservative of a president. Okay, I'm a Trump voter, and I can point out his flaws. Number one, he signed a bump stock ban that was unconstitutional. That right there was a problem. A lot of people were criticizing him over bombing the hell out of Syria, which is something that you might would say that was the GOP establishment type thing to do. Maybe it wasn't what Trump wanted to do. I don't know. But really, in a lot of ways, Trump was not the conservative president that you think he was. If anything, he was probably more of a moderate right president than anything else. I actually felt he governed a lot more to the center. The child tax credit, that's actually a Democrat thing because Trump himself was a former Democrat. Don't come over here and say that the Republican Party, or don't come over here and say that conservatives have gone too far right. You people have gone way too far left. Almost to the point where you guys are spinning circles like a chicken with his head cut off. And it's finally starting to see it. Now, guys, I don't believe that Ana Kasparian is just going to be some right-wing MAGA hat wearing person next year, but I'm pretty sure that on election night 2024, if let's just say if the Democrat loses, she probably won't go into a meltdown or panic mode. She probably won't do like she did at the end of 2016, because a lot of people don't realize this, but she did in fact have to go see a psychiatrist for like 2 years over the 2016 election. Yeah, that's how weak these people are. Somebody gets elected president, these people absolutely lose their freaking minds. Still, though, at the same time, though, I got to give kudos to Ana for calling out this type of nonsense. With that right there being said, guys, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys share the video, sound off in the comments section. I would love to get you guys' thoughts. Share it to Facebook. Share it to across your YouTube. Of course, pass it around. And I'll see you guys later.